then you can click back. We're onto it now. Let's go.
This is my favorite geek comedy website with trips, xkcd.com. They also comment a lot on COVID at the moment and Trump, of course. And I picked up this one when I was clicking through the archive. So are consumers confused about milk fat? 2% milk is 2% milk fat. But whole milk isn't 100% milk fat. It's 3.5%. Well, that must be a mistake. Weird. What's the rest of it? About 27% is dark matter. The remainder is dark energy. Basically, if you say whole 2% milk, which is how it's sold in the States, it's 2% milk fat. Whole milk, then has to be 100% milk fat.
That makes sense, right?
Yeah. But it's not, of course.
We don't have that same way.
No, it's in the States. They talk about 2% milk. Yeah.
I think the confusing part with the joke is the dark matter.
Yeah.
The dark energy part.
Oh, that's just a geek joke.
She wants to know. She really wants to know.
Let's just move on.
Yeah. So we're talking about fat. It's more than just an energy source. The fatty acids are also part of your body cells. So you do need some, and you in the past when people were adamant to go on really, really low fat diets, you could tell from the way they looked. They had this sallow, pale skin, and the whole gloss from the hair and the skin had gone, and it didn't look healthy at all. So we do have some omega-3s in there as well. So the main thing is the saturated fats. If you look in those two glasses, there's the fat. Most of that is saturated fat. There's a little bit of trans, but that's natural trans fat. It's not the trans that comes from hydrogenating plant fats, plant oils, like where people were really scared about with trans fat. This is just what they call ruminant animals, i.e. animals that digest plant material in their stomachs, generate into their milk. Polyunsaturated a little bit, and of those there is some omega-3. ALA is alpha-linolenic acid. That's the one that's in canola oil and margarine typically. So there's a little bit there, 130 milligrams, but to make a claim about that, you need a minimum of 200 milligrams, so you can't make a claim about that. Then there is a bit of the long chain ones. They're called EPA, DPA, and DHA. I have not been able to find data on DHA, but I know, for instance, that it's also in eggs, so I wonder how much is actually in milk. It would be interesting to find out. It's quite easy to get that checked with a fatty acid analysis of milk. It automatically comes through in the fatty acid profile. And then if you have enough of DHA and APA, which a minimum of 30 milligrams, you can actually make a claim about that. Then there is some monounsaturated and there's some natural cholesterol, which is also present in human milk that gets fed to infants, but not always in infant formula. So now some of the discussion is, should infant formula actually contain some cholesterol? Because if you try to mimic human milk, then you probably should do that. So what sort of claims are focused around fat, low fat, which is different if you have a solid food or a liquid food, because the reasoning behind that is you consume more of a liquid than you consume of a solid food, so the tolerance level is a bit lower. Reduced fat, you need to have at least 25% less. Trans fat, you can list it always in the NIP if you would want to, and sometimes you have to for export, where it's a compulsory requirement to list trans fat. And that's why in the legislation it allows you to list it in the NIP, but it is not really claimable because the saturated fat level is too high. Omega-3, not enough, but it'd be interesting to see if there is any DHA in that. Maybe if you feed cows algae or salmon, I don't know. Salmon only get their DHA, the long chain omega 3, by eating algae that have it.
All right.
So she's saying if the cow eats salmon,
Seaweed,
then
don't
it'll...
Yeah. That's one of the research things that they're doing to reduce the methane emission from cows that feed them cereal. Yeah. So it'll be interesting to analyze those cows on the milk on the DHA level. There's monounsaturated and polyunsaturated fats in there, but again, you can't really claim those. And health claims are not really applicable to pure dairy. There is the image in some people that DHA is good for the brain and things like that, but you can't claim that. And to claim it for heart, I think it needs to have low saturated fats and all this sort of stuff. So fat claims are not, apart from reduced and low, really don't come into the picture much.
Ray and Hamish have to leave in 20 minutes.
Okay, then we have our carbohydrates. The lactose, which is the milk sugar, is what is called a disaccharide. Saccharide means sugar, and it's two sugars. It's glucose and galactose linked together into one molecule. So 60% of the glucose in your body is used by the brain and is the first choice for it. Ketones come a poor second choice, and only if it gives up on it can't find any glucose. So for lactose-free milk, what you do is you split that lactose in those two parts, and it is sweeter because lactose is slightly sweet, about 16% of sucrose sugar, but when it's split and those two are free, it becomes a little bit sweeter, so about 4 times as sweet. It has 65% of the sweetness of regular sugar. It passes through UF filtration membranes, and it's the main food for the bacteria that grow in milk when you make yogurt.
Is milk high in phosphate?
If you're lactose intolerant, yes. Yeah. But it is low glycemic. So I looked in the glycemic index database from Sydney University. Lactose is low, but also milk is really low, like 20 to 40, so it's low GI. But you would have to get a test for your specific product.
So what was that question?
Low glycemic,
It was about FODMAP.
Well,
fermentable oligosaccharide, yeah.
no, what was the question? Is milk low on what?
GI. No, the question was, is milk low, high FODMAP?
High FODMAP. Oh, okay, right.
I don't think it's very high, but not low either.
And the answer was, it is for someone who is lactose intolerant.
Yeah.
Right, okay.
Because that means that they don't break the lactose down and it starts fermenting in the lower bowel, and that makes life uncomfortable when that happens.
Oh, Annie,
Which is
on the topic of lactose intolerance, what we were discussing before, can I then assume that anyone that's lactose intolerant can slowly introduce dairy into their diet and become non-lactose intolerant? Does it work like that?
I don't know, to be honest. I do know that you lose the lactase enzyme, whether you build it up again. Well, how did you find it for yourself? Did you build up your tolerance again?
Yeah. Like now I drink bucketloads of milk and it's fine. Like 100% fine. But
So it might well
but is it because as a child I've already built up that enzyme in my stomach, and then I lost it over that period of time that I didn't consume dairy, and then so it's easier for me to get back, whereas obviously a lot of our consumers in the markets that we operate in don't have that lactose enzyme in their body
they
from
lose
early
it
childhood,
Mm.
and it may not be possible for them to build back up again, because that's a really good. I guess
I don't know. I'm not.
Okay, right.
Yeah, I really don't know. Yeah, would have to check that out. Yeah.
Look,
So-
if you guys come across any kind of, studies and stuff that suggest that, it'll be a really good, educational story for us to kind of tell in those markets to go, for you to build on that lactose intolerance. You need to slowly introduce dairy back into your diet and then blah, blah, blah. But that's what
Okay, I'll keep my eyes out for it. So GI claims you can only make if you pass the nutrient profiling, which you typically do with general milk, but maybe not with all sweetened milk. But it's not, I noticed that and I told Hamish about that some Chelsea sugar has got low GI claims on it, which is not permitted because the nutrient profiling score would be a big fail. If you do any claims, like we were discussing before, you need to get it tested. And lactose-free increases the glycemic index. What its value is, I don't know. You would have to test it. So it's important to know the glycemic index for lactose-free milk. I suggest you get it tested. Yeah. Some of the plant milks are quite high because they just put maltodextrins and easy fermentable sugars in there that are released quite quickly into the body. So that's another point of difference between dairy milk and some of the plant milks. The soy milk that are found in the databases was lower, but the oat milk and the rice milk that was in there was high GI because that is 55 and above is, 70 and above is high. Yeah. So the oat milk just wavers on the medium to high. And flavored milks can also be low GI. So the claims you can make around lactose is you can make two specific lactose claims, lactose-free and low lactose, but other lactose claims are not permitted to avoid, that has been put in the law to avoid confusion, I understand. It is a little bit different than other types of claims. And if you make a claim about it, if you make a story about it, then you also need to list the galactose because some people are quite sensitive to galactose. I think it's a minority, but that is the rule. If you make carbohydrate claims, you need to list the fiber. But you can make all sorts of reduced carbs and reduced sugar, low sugar claims possible. For the low sugar and percentage sugar-free, it's different again between solid food and liquid food. The low sugar for liquid food is 2.5 per 100 mils, and for solid food is 5 grams per 100 grams of solid food. Reduced or light, again 25% less. No added sugar includes not just cane sugar or refined sugar. It includes all the different sort of syrups that people have come up with trying to appease consumers. Glucose, maple, date, rice, agave, tapioca, anything that has starch in it that you can break down into sugars has been used for syrups. Honey, malt, concentrated fruit juice or deionized fruit juice, you cannot claim no added sugar. So then we have the constant balancing act between sugars and taste. So the man thinks, reads the recipe and adds sugars to taste. Let's go away. Okay. We have some sugar to add. Very true, isn't it? Yeah.
Here we go. Minerals.
Minerals.
Yes.
More than calcium. Look.
Whoa.
Yep. You did
So yes, Nikki, zinc.
There was something extra.
Exactly for our zinc and magnesium pellet that we've been taking.
Well, you can tell whether you need zinc, isn't it? If you can taste it, then you're sure.
Yeah.
Put it on your tongue and hold it there.
Yeah.
And if you can taste it quite quickly, then you're not short of zinc.
Right.
Yeah. Iodine is another one. But some of the other ones are quite low, like iron, obviously, and manganese, which is quite common in plant foods, but not in dairy milk. Selenium, you need to stick to your Brazil nuts. or wheat from Australia that is a North Island bread, but not on the South Island one. Molybdenum a little bit, but that's about it. Potassium, it's good. You always are looking for a positive balance between potassium and sodium. You want a lot more potassium than sodium in your cells for a good cell. I think it's signaling across the cell wall or something.
Or bananas.
Yeah, bananas is good too. But you can't compare bananas and milk.
Oh, go on.
Okay, so again, what sort of mineral claims can you do? The content claim, it needs to be 10% more than the recommended daily intake, or some minerals where they haven't got a recommended daily intake, they call it an estimated safe and adequate daily dietary intake. They sort of think that if you have that amount, you're probably right. They haven't got enough evidence. And that's the serving. Potassium any level. For a good source claim, you need 25% of the RDI, and you're not permitted to make comparative claims like I said before. So the health effect claims of the minerals you can make if you have enough, and you pass the nutrient profiling. So what sort of mineral health claims? Low sodium, maximum 120 milligrams. Potassium if you have more than 200 milligrams per serving, which is actually quite easy to do for dairy. And then you can talk about water and electrolyte balance, muscle function, nerve system, magnesium, energy, electrolyte, nerve and muscle function, teeth and bone, reduction of tiredness and fatigue, psychological function, yeah, your brain and your overall mental health. Calcium, in comparison, calcium has far less claims than magnesium when you look at it. Teeth and bone, nerve and muscle, blood coagulation, not a very sexy claim actually, but hey, pretty crucial. If you injure yourself, you want to make sure your blood coagulates, otherwise you bleed to death. And function of digestive enzyme, which is often quite really good as a claim in combination with fiber. You can't make that many claims about fiber in relation to digestion, only about laxation. But if you combine it with calcium, you can make that claim.
This is what we do time. A couple of glasses of Coke, glass of milk, you must.
So much better to provide all that.
And then
Then you must think that
phosphorus, teeth and bone again, cell membranes, you want your cell membranes to be stuffed, zinc, immune system, skin structure, wound healing. I'm not quite sure what acid-base metabolism is, whether that's related to yin-yang in Chinese culture or not. Fertility and reproduction, testosterone levels in blood, hair and nails, beauty. That's why it's often combined. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I didn't know whether she drank it.
That go into osmosis.
No, you need to have a swallow as well. And it was donkey's milk, wasn't it? Iodine, again, skin comes through there as well, which probably, yeah. Well, that's what it often is. It says normal vision and maintenance of normal skin. Like, you never really, if you have terrible skin, have milk and you will have beautiful skin. You can't say that. No. But
For some people.
if you're allergic to milk, it will be, yeah. And all of them there for growth and development of children. So there is some medical higher level health claims for calcium, which is a link to the bone density and osteoporosis and fracture and things like that. But it gets more complicated, and you need slightly higher levels, and you need to have all these contact claims with it and say for whom it is, and it becomes like an extra stick on a label on your pack. Okay, so immunity is definitely hot in COVID-19 times. So you've got zinc, like we said before, but also 4 eligible vitamins that are coming up in the next part.
I haven't read it out for a second.
You have to it out, yeah.
Okay.
The funniest bit is watching you laugh.
I'm the geek.
Leave She's written it down. We got used to it now. Got used to it.
My body hosts an autonomous microscopic defense alarm swarm that will do anything to protect me. I have no ability to restrain it, and I don't know my own power. So listen up. Sales grew by 4% this quarter. Business pro tip. You can strengthen any presentation by opening with a reminder about how cool the immune systems are.
So that you burn and
You really should mess it up. You should open it with this line and
There's the link.
Amos will laugh, we promise.
We all chip in.
not going to pay my mortgage.
Because I looked at my presentation and initially I thought, gee, this is boring, dry. I need to find jokes.
This is what you found?
Yeah, they were my geek corner. Come on.
Any questions about all the stuff about calcium and that? Is there anything that we've got around, like what life stage you're in? Do you know, like, what is it? Because I know that's kind of more of a generalised.
There are recommendations in the dietary guidelines
Yeah.
on about how much calcium you should
So,
have.
like, 0 to 5, or,
Yeah.
whatever.
They're all
it is.
there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I remember there was something around calcium from a, like, when you are 65, it's kind of too late to start having.
Yeah, you
calcium.
need to do it in your 30s and
Yeah,
then
so it's
maintain
kind of-
it.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
I guess that's kind of, yeah.
Well,
Well,
they
maybe
do
that's
it for older
right.
people,
Like,
probably.
Yeah.
because meditation.
There's
like,
very little
you
you-
need to start doing
Yeah,
it. Like,
yeah. You can stop the deterioration, but
Yeah.
it's very hard at the older age to build it back
Yeah,
up.
and that's kind of like what we call one of these kind of moments of truth.
Yeah.
Like, how do we make sure that people understand that? It's not
Yeah.
like, I'm going to get 65 and worry about death.
Yeah. Because my mum had osteoporosis at 65, so I'll worry about the day.
Yeah, but
No,
you have
too
to
late.
have it now, like, drink it now with your
Yeah.
30 or 40 or 50.
Build for the future.
Yeah.
A bit like Johnny Tuesday.
Yeah,
Sure, we-
exactly.
Yeah.
It's good. And
How do
healthy.
vegans get this calcium?
Calcium kiwi saver.
Some plants have calcium in them, like broccoli.
My question was, how do vegans get their calcium intake?
But if you look at it in the average diet, that it's like 40% comes out of milk and milk products.
Yeah.
Yeah. Mm.
Yeah.
Okay, now vitamins. Another sexy story. We've got quite a bit of vitamin A, of course, in the fat-filled ones. Riboflavin, really high, 83% of your intake in 2 glasses. Pantothenic acid, and that is an interesting one. It's a third of the estimated safe and adequate daily dietary intake. Vitamin B12, 74%. Vitamin D, 24%. There is some folate and B6. They're a bit more significant in the 2 glasses of milk, but not always claimable. Maybe folate in 2 glasses, but there wouldn't be enough in a single glass to make a folate claim. Yeah. And B6 is really borderline on whether there's enough. And for fresh milk, B2 may be lower if it's light damaged, and UHT B12 gets a bit lower after treatment, but there's still plenty there. I mean, in 2 glasses, 74%, so there's plenty there.
Actually, you called out UHT here and the impact.
Yeah.
Would you actually have any impact on anything else we've talked about?
On some, not on the minerals.
Non-mineral.
Yeah, because they basically stay there unless you.
I think for UHT, we have to add more,
Yeah.
right, to ensure that it's safe
Yeah,
there.
because you have both. There's 2 parts to it. You lose some to the heat as you process it, but depending on the oxygen level in the product, you can also, and the time and the permeability of the packaging, you can lose some over storage time.
So it's fresh milk more nutritious than UHT milk.
A little bit, but it's not a big difference. And a lot of them, B12 is more sensitive, but some of the others are not as sensitive. Yeah, and it's, for instance, really hard to get vitamin A and D into low-fat milk because there's not a lot of fat to carry it. Yeah. So again, you need 10% of the RDI or the ASDI. For health claims, you need a pass, and all vitamins contribute to normal growth and development of children. So that is always the whole story for all of them. Vitamin A, again, there is a skin entry there. Immune system. Riboflavin B2, it also has a skin and energy release. Reduction of tiredness and fatigue. And that is really, B2 is abundant in milk. Then pantothenic acid is a really interesting one. It's the only vitamin that carries a permitted claim for mental performance, which is particularly important in China probably because of, and then in products it gets focused on products for students to help with their learning. And that's the only nutrient that carries the claim.
Bye.
And it helps with other again, reduction of tiredness and fatigue. Vitamin B12 also has an immune system function, and there is lots in milk. So, yeah, reduction of tiredness and fatigue again. Some of those claims, they are not very sexy in terms of consumers probably, but some do carry over quite well, particularly immune system. Vitamin D again as well, and it helps with the calcium level for the calcium to get absorbed into the bone. Folate again, immune system, but you can't talk about folic acid. That's a different story altogether from folate in terms of pregnancy and things like that. But folate also have maternal tissue growth during pregnancy as a function. So the 2 glasses, some will do that, single glass, you can't claim it. There's not enough there. So then we talk about other things that people add to stuff. Probiotic cultures, prebiotic fiber. You can always list the amounts, but there are no pre-approved health claims. So that's when you need to go down to the self-substantiated claim route, which you've done for one particular probiotic, I understand. Yeah, but it's that particular probiotic in that product. It is not a universal probiotic claim.
Because I always done that. Someone else.
Hey guys, sorry I have to go now. But thank you so much.
Okay.
Thank you so much for that. It's really, really useful. Yes.
Ray, I will send the presentation to you, and you might have to read the rest of it because there's quite a few more slides. And maybe if you wouldn't mind sending me an email later on in terms of, now that you've seen this, now which part of the presentation, or are there any specific areas that you want us to dive down deeper?
Yeah, sure.
Needs?
Yeah, for sure.
Thank you.
There's some really good content. And Sippy is also staying on the call, so I'll touch base with her after. Yeah?
Perfect. Thank you.
Well, thanks so much, guys. Thank you. Bye.
10 minutes.
Annie, I have a question.
Yeah.
You know how we said at the beginning, like if you go back a few slides, how milk,
How
it
far?
reduces tiredness. One more. Reduction of tiredness and
Yeah.
fatigue. But the magnesium is there to make you sleepy.
Yeah.
Is sleepiness and tiredness the same thing? Or sleepiness and fatigueness? Is it like the same thing? Would they not cancel each other out?
No, I don't think so. Sleepiness is more that you are in control of falling asleep when you want to. Tiredness is you like all day. I don't know whether they counter each other. Yeah. Yeah, it could well be. And whether it then ends being neutral, you mean?
Because I can feel it every time I take my magnesium and zinc. It's
Is
like
it a placebo?
I don't know, maybe half an hour later I'm like, man, I'm tired. Like,
You take them late at night.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I always take them at night. But when I don't take it, I'm like, why do I don't know, maybe it's placebo.
So when they say, I remember seeing on the news when they're like, people think that they're getting issues from radiation from cell towers because they think it rather than it's actually true.
But they do. And they still get the symptoms. Yeah.
They
Yeah.
get physical symptoms,
Yeah.
but there's nothing actually to them.
On your mind.
Yeah.
Is it all on my mind about magnesium and zinc?
We should do a study on the realm.
We need to have tablets that are placebos.
And don't tell me.
No, of course. No. It's called a double blind.
Okay.
Like one person knows, gives it to another person without telling you, and then that person will give it to you.
Okay.
Do it. Can we organise that?
I do record the diary.
Yeah.
Tired.
Yeah.
Not tired.
Do it.
Sorry, Annie.
you can do with probiotic culture and prebiotic fibers, which is what people have done, is, for instance, if you have calcium in there, then you tag it to the digestive enzyme claims that you can have for calcium, and then the pro and prebiotics sort of toddle on. But you can't make the claim for the fiber, but you can still make that overall digest, which is what Symbio is doing with their digestion stuff.
Could you repeat that again, please? Sorry.
So what you do is if you have one of those ingredients or aspects of a food where you can't make claims about, what you do is you find another nutrient or vitamin or mineral that carries that claim, you make the claim about that, and then the other one tags along. The one,
like a halo effect.
the one with the halo tags along.
Do you want an example? Please an example.
Well, for instance, calcium with digestive enzymes. Yeah, and then you have probiotic culture and prebiotic fiber in there. You make it overall a digestion proposition, but the claim is substantiated by the calcium, not by the prebiotics or the probiotics.
Can we claim the probiotic and prebiotic in the UHT products?
Not probiotic.
Not probiotic.
Yeah, the culture would be killed in UHT.
All right. Yeah.
As far as we know, although there is some evidence even on the what's that famous little drink?
Yakult.
Yakult.
Yakult. Yeah.
That dead bacteria also have an immunity effect.
Oh, really?
Just from the cells there. Yeah. Just the cells. Exactly, the carcasses of it trigger an immune. Well, some virus vaccines that you get are dead.
Are they?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, they do. It's the material of it that triggers it.
Flu just had dead bacteria.
Yeah. Or viruses in
Maybe
this
there
case.
might be more use yogurt.
Yeah.
Maybe there is. We eliminated it so quickly, but maybe there is.
Yeah. Prebiotic fiber, of course, stays in there, so you can always make that claim. Yep. So fibers like fructooligosaccharides and GOS come through in the prebiotic fiber story, but be careful. You can have too much of a good thing, and it's not necessarily good for everybody. Of course, it wouldn't be very good for FODMAP people because of the fermentation. And there was a while back a link between brain fogginess and severe bloating by overuse of probiotic. So you can have too much of a good thing. Don't oversell. You should not do like, it's good for everybody and eat as much as you like type of stories.
There was a question, Annie, that someone asked me a while ago about what is the recommended probiotic intake? Is there such a thing? How much probiotic are you supposed to consume?
I don't know. There might be literature on it, but I've never checked in terms of count.
I think it's like anything, you can eat too much of anything.
Yeah.
It's going to have to be.
Yeah.
Yes, but you could also have too little, and it won't make much of a difference.
Mm.
No, well, that's why I've got minimum level. Is the civilian food probably sensitive. Yeah. But,
For yogurt, yeah.
for yogurt, but then you don't know as a human being how much are you supposed to. How
Oh,
much
there might
liquor
Like
inside?
110
Yeah.
milliliters.
Is it like, is it enough? I never thought about it. I couldn't answer this question.
Did the self-substantiating story have any info on levels that you should have? I've seen stories where the intake for immunity, I think, had to be double of another effect or something. What's it? Yeah. So there is some literature about, and I have some literature. Send me an email and I'll send you some.
I'll send some questions
Yeah.
about what people have asked.
Yeah.
So one of them was
Okay,
life
so
stage
then stuff of the future. There is now recent research where psychobiotics, where probiotic and prebiotic take off depression. It means that those pre and probiotics have an effect on your psychological well-being.
Oh.
Yeah.
So that's negative or could be
No, positive. Yeah. Yeah.
Balanced diet.
Yeah. because it focuses on what is called the gut-brain axis. Anything that happens in your gut feeds to your brain. Yeah.
What did it say? The research. Do you know? It's just
the research
saying that there is a correlation.
Found that while probiotics may ameliorate depression, reduce, their link to lessening anxiety is not clear yet, but further research is warranted.
What is that? The sort of the premise that happy tummy.
No, that's more on digestion. This is digestion, like you don't get constipated. If you're constipated, you're unhappy. Yeah. Yeah. So this is just this is one of those things, keep an eye on that, what is happening in that space. That's coming through. Yeah. Yeah. So other halo claims, which is not pre-proved. So microbiome is all the bacteria in your gut.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. I should have probably explained that. Sorry.
I had heard the word hormones.
Yeah. That is everything that. Yeah. That is a big part of you without you realizing.
The interesting about that beauty problems and about collagen. You know, the commercials in the morning on TV always talk about that. What's it called? Collagen.
I don't know. Collagen is hot at the moment, but it's a solubilized gelatin. So the advice from lots of other people is just have a jelly dessert every now and then. Oh, hell of a lot cheaper.
I'm just going to hang up now, Sippy, and dial back in just because I'm about to run out on this Zoom.
All right.
See you shortly.
Yeah.
Bye.